So we went through and calculated everything. Conditional frequencies got the same answer. So the frequencies are the same. Which means that who you are, student or teacher, better?
Yeah.
Who you are. So by who you are, we mean student versus teacher. Does not impact movie preference because we had the same amount of teachers that liked action as we had students that liked action. So the frequencies are the same, which means that who you are does not impact movie preference. Got ahead of myself. So, I'm going to zoom this out a little bit. So if I asked you, if I gave you a table and I asked you, is there an association, you could go through and you could get your conditional frequencies, and if they're the same, and I asked you, is there an association, would you tell me yes or no?
Yes.
So, is there an association? I'm asking you. Is there an association?
No.
No. Okay? There's no connection because who you are is not having any impact on the other variable. It's not changing that variable at all. I'm going to turn this for just a second because I showed you guys how we're going to turn this into a foldable. I'm going to close it just for a minute. I'll open it back up in a moment. This is going to end up having two sections, but on the front of this, what we just figured out is that this is what no association looks like. So we're going to label that as a no association, and when we're done, we'll cut it apart into some flaps. And remember, association is the word that we use instead of correlation when we're talking about categorical data. So this would be no association in the information for that. So on the front, you can label that really quick. Can I open it back up? Yeah? I know I've got this zoomed out a little bit, but I'll leave it there for the people who need it. I want to look at the bottom, though. Are the numbers the same on the bottom? Okay. So I've got a bunch of different numbers. If I have different numbers like I do on the bottom, that suggests there's a connection. So this is gender versus movie preference. So talk to me about what you guys see happening down here. What can you tell me about gender versus movie preference based on this data?
It's not. No.
What do you notice?
They're all different.
Okay, they're all different. So can you talk to me about, can you get a little more specific? Talk to me about boys and girls and what movies they like.
Girls like drama more than guys like the action.
Okay, raise your hand. So we're not yelling over each other. What can you tell me about boys and girls and what movies they like? Boys like more action. How does the data suggest that? Yeah, if you look down here, the male conditional frequencies, almost all of the males are on the action side and not the drama side. So that suggests that boys like action. How about girls? Yeah, the girls is not as extreme, but it is a little bit tilted towards drama, right? So we could say that the girls tend to favor drama and the boys definitely like action. So that implies that there is a connection between gender and movie preference, right? So is there an association in this data? Remember, an association is a correlation or a connection. Is there a connection? Yeah. So if you're getting frequencies that are different like this, that tells you that there's probably a connection. There's something that's causing those numbers to change. So in this case, the gender is what's causing the numbers to be different. And so boys kind of favor one and girls favor the other. So let's summarize what you guys just said about that over here. So what you guys said was the females favor drama, while the boys, and we could say strongly favor because almost all of them were action, right? So the girls are kind of tilted toward the drama. While the boys, the males, strongly favor action. Okay, so that suggests that there is a connection between gender and movie preference. So, which suggests there is a connection between gender and movie preference. Preference. So that's just summarizing what you guys noticed, basically. The last one we said where everything was the same, who you are didn't impact the movies, so we said there's no association because they're not causing each other to change. Here they are. And when we did scatter plots, we said if there was a correlation, there was two types.
Positive, negative.
Yeah. Now, this isn't on a graph that goes up or down, though, is it? So categorical data doesn't have positive or negative. It's a little more generic. It's just either there is a connection or there's not, and that's it. So the top one, we would say there's no association, and this bottom one, where we've got numbers that are different because the males like different things than the females, we would just say, yes, there is an association and leave it at that. We could talk a little more about it like we did here and say what the connection is, that the girls favor drama while the boys favor action. So I'm going to close this for a minute. So this bottom part, the top was no association. The bottom is there is an association.